Hello there, very good evening and welcome to your Primetime News Bulletin on the 20th of June 2012. I'm Shane Silva.
A very good evening, I'm Mahina Bongzo. As usual, we start off with a look at your headlines.
Taxes on sugar increased. Julampete Amare, the suspect in the Katwana shootings, to be produced in an identification parade. The JVP questions why Julampete Amare, against whom warrants had been issued, was not arrested when moving about freely. And international reports say that Sri Lanka's banking sector is facing a very high economic and credit risk.
Moving on to the stories in detail now. International ratings agency Standard & Poor's says that the local banking sector is facing a severe economic and debt crisis. The agency has made this revelation in its latest report on economic and financial risks issued yesterday.
Standard & Poor's International Ratings Agency had rated countries on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being most at risk. Sri Lanka has received a rating of 8. Nigeria, Tunisia and Kazakhstan have received similar ratings. Parliamentarian Dr. Harsha De Silva spoke about the report on Sri Lanka at a media briefing today. Standard & Poor's has accepted the points that I tried to convey throughout the last 2.5 years in Parliament. They have said that there is a tremendous risk in the financial system. The reason brought forward is control levels being lower than international levels. They also have said that good governance and transparency are at levels lower than what is expected. The report has raised concerns about the dealings carried out at the Colombo Stock Exchange by the Central Bank and the EPF. They reckon it is unsuitable and therefore good governance and transparency have been compromised. The international community is saying that economic instability is caused not due to statements made by the opposition but due to the improper policies of the government. UNP MP Harsha De Silva points out that the government is continuing to obtain huge loans. Now they are trying to obtain another installment of the IMF loan worth $450 million. In addition, they are trying to obtain another loan worth $1,000 million before October, as they don't have funds to pay back the bond worth $500 million that was obtained from HSBC by the 22nd of October. They are then holding discussions with the IMF to obtain $500 million. That means the total will add up to $2,000 million. This is not an issue that could be solved by obtaining loans. They have clearly not followed economic fundamentals.
Fundamentals වල තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නයක්.
The Ministry of Finance says that the special commodity levy on imported sugar has been increased by 10 rupees. The Director General of Trade, Tariff and Investment Policy at the Ministry of Finance, P.A. Dyer, said that accordingly the tax on imported sugar will increase to 20 rupees per kilogram. The current tax on a kilogram of sugar stands at 10 rupees. Dyer said that this decision was taken with the objective of stabilizing sugar prices. The Ministry of Finance noted that there will not be an increase in the market price of sugar due to the new levy, as the world market price of sugar has seen a significant decrease.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa is due to address the UN's Rio Plus 20 conference on sustainable development in Brazil.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa arrived in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil last evening to participate in the Rio Plus 20 conference. The President is also due to hold bilateral discussions with world leaders including Indian Premier Manmohan Singh, Nepalese Prime Minister Baburam Bhattarai, Bhutanese Premier Leon Chen and the President of Chile.
The Rio Plus 20 summit commenced a short while ago in the Brazilian capital. Now what you are witnessing is live footage from the conference taking place in Rio.
Gigana Gamage Amarasiri, also known as Julampitiya Amare, who is a suspect in the shooting incident that took place at a JVP meeting in Katuwana, Hambantota, has been placed in remand custody until the 29th of this month. The order was issued when the suspect was produced before the Tangol High Court.
Judge Chandrasena Rajapaksa ordered the suspect to be produced before the Valasmola Magistrates Court on the 29th of June for an identification parade. This is in relation to the double murder in Katuwana. Meanwhile, he was remanded on the charges of escaping from the Tangol prison in the year 2002, a murder in Middenia and an attempted murder. The police media spokesperson stated that the suspect was placed in remand custody until the 11th of next month based on these charges.
He is an unarmed individual. Since he was aware that certain armed groups were trying to cause harm to his life, he had to evade those cases. He says that he is helpless, as some are saying that he is a supporter of one political party, and he says that he is helpless as no political leader or party is assisting him. We requested the High Court judge to imprison him to safeguard his life. Normally we would have asked for bail, but today we requested his life to be safeguarded. The High Court judge admonished him to be a good citizen.
On to another story that made the headlines tonight. Now, the JVP charges that the police failed to arrest the person named Julampitiya Amare, against whom warrants have been issued due to political influence. JVP General Secretary Tilvin Silva made this allegation at a media briefing today.
He did not hand himself over to courts in connection with the Katuwana murders. Warrants had been issued against him 9 years ago. He had an open warrant against him. The first point is that this individual resided in this area freely throughout the past 9 years, but the police failed to arrest him. Why was that? He was seen in public on numerous occasions. Even during the last general election, he got onto the stage and called on the public to vote for the Crown Prince.
United National Party parliamentarian Karu Jayasuriya says that although terrorism was eliminated from the north, another form of terrorism has surfaced in the south. He expressed this view at a media briefing in Kiralapana today.
We can foresee the type of incidents we will have to experience at future elections. The incident in Katuwana is not an incident that affected only the JVP. It portrays the fate of any person who would oppose the government. With the prevailing system and the power-hungry rulers, no one will be able to bear opposing views. Although terrorism was eliminated from the north, a different form of terrorism is surfacing in the south.
In the meantime, Deputy Leader of the UNP, Sajith Premadasa, says that all should unite in order to put a full stop to the culture of murder. He made this statement during an event in Deraniyagala today.
The only terrorism that is active in our country today is state terrorism, at a time when state protection is being provided to murderers, thieves and underworld figures, and an era which would destroy the country is being created. We must all unite to put a full stop to this culture of murder. The Sasunataruna program to provide financial assistance to the Kirihena Rajamahaviharya in Anhettigama Daraniyagala was held today under the auspices of UNP Deputy Leader Sajith Premadasa.
The Friday Forum, a collective of concerned citizens, states that 3 years after the end of the war, the organization is deeply concerned about the continuing violent political culture, the deterioration of state institutions, and the undermining of religious, cultural and social values. The organization is headed by veteran diplomat Jayantha Dhanapala and Professor Savithri Gunasekara and includes many intellectuals. The Friday Forum in a statement notes that in recent months the pluralist character of society has been strained by polarizing forces. Instead of rebuilding inter-ethnic relations and inter-religious dialogue, the government and the political leaders have, through their commissions and omissions, contributed to their deterioration. The Friday Forum notes that the serious lapses in good governance and the deterioration of the rule of law are clearly manifested in a number of cases of political violence and abuse which have far-reaching implications. The Forum believes good governance, which necessarily involves the effective functioning of law enforcement mechanisms, needs to be given due importance in the actions of the President, legislators, judiciary and law enforcement officials. The Friday Forum also notes that if the issues inhibiting peace and reconciliation as highlighted by the LLRC report can be addressed, the problems facing the government in international forums will likely be neutralized.
And up next is a look at the newspaper cartoon of the day, which we selected from amongst today's English newspapers.
Supreme Court makes it mandatory for private bus drivers and conductors to be attired in uniform. Western Province Passenger Transport Authority given the responsibility of issuing uniforms. Lanka Private Bus Owners Association accepts responsibility to distribute uniforms. 3 years have lapsed since the law was enacted. Is the law being properly implemented? If we don't have the uniform from the Provincial Council, they fine us. We can't wear it either when it's torn. We have to spend on the uniforms as well. We do not receive it from the Provincial Council or anywhere else. Even our employers don't provide us uniforms. If we are to follow this rule, we need at least 2 uniforms. They don't provide it free of charge. There is no place to obtain it either. I have just 1 shirt. We have to wash it and somehow wear it. They said they will provide a uniform, but we didn't receive anything. Have the authorities taken steps to implement the law?